Welcome to the My Hero Therapy podcast, where we break down all things My Hero Academia. Keep in mind, this podcast is for educational purposes only. While we are both therapists, we are not your therapists, unless we are your therapists. I am Dr. Nicole Hassler. However, for the purposes of this podcast, I will be known as the intuitive hero, Psyche.
And my name is Benjamin Teitz. I'm a registered psychological associate, but for this podcast, you can call me the empathic hero, Pathos. So this will be our very first episode of the podcast. Some of you might have heard this podcast before with me and a previous co-host, the cyber hero Logos, aka Peter Gordon. We are rebirthing this podcast just like One for All transfers to a new host. We have a new host with us in Dr. Nicole Hassler. So this first episode will be a welcome back or welcome for new listeners, just to kind of tell you all about why are we doing this podcast, how do we first think about want to do something about My Hero Academia, who our favorite heroes are, or villains. Nicole, who are you? What do you do?
What a question.
Why are people listening to you?
So as I mentioned in the intro, I am Dr. Nicole Hassler. I am a licensed clinical psychologist hailing from the frozen tundra known as Buffalo, New York. I work primarily with children and adolescents, although I do work with some adults on a case-by-case basis, utilizing a lot of what we call cognitive behavioral therapy and acceptance and commitment therapy in really cool, nerdy, and geeky type of ways, incorporating a lot of My Hero Academia into my therapy as well. I first was introduced to My Hero Academia. I would be remiss if I didn't say that Pathos himself did not put the little idea in my head to start watching this anime. However, I would also be remiss if I didn't mention a client of mine who got me further into My Hero Academia by informing me that there was a character that had a navel laser.
A laser! Merci beaucoup.
Which piqued my interest. So I started watching this anime in session with this particular client, breaking down the different psychological themes that we saw throughout, and I ended up falling in love with this anime. And if I had to choose a favorite character, it's not going to be a hero, guys. Just so you know, as this continues to move forward, I am 100% on the villain side. Dobby will forever be my favorite character. Fight me.
I gotta say, you're way grosser in person.
Well, let's not have any fights. I just really actually find it really funny that your favorite character is a villain. So for me, as I said, I am a registered psychological associate. What that means, everybody, is that I am a junior psychologist. I am soon to be doctor. I am all but dissertation. So give me some time. I will get there. I'm still in my hero training. But I first got introduced to My Hero Academia also through a client. At the time, it was actually at the beginning of the pandemic. I was working in a psychiatric hospital, and we had a Heroes Week, Superhero Week activities for the clients to kind of help them to feel more engaged and to have some fun. And one of my clients was doing a My Hero Academia coloring pages. And I was asking him, who is that? Because there was Tokoyami Fumikage on his page. And I was like, why does this guy have a bird head and this really cool, like, shadow creature coming out of him? And so my client told me all about Tokoyami Fumikage and his love of all things darkness. And I was like, that sounds fascinating. Just give me 1 second. I went back to my office and I just Googled My Hero Academia, quickly read a synopsis, like, I love this. I went home, watched like a good 5 episodes in a row, and since then I was hooked. Not long after that is when I first messaged Psyche, be like, hey, anime, stuff, cool. And she was like, yeah, sure. So I currently do not work in psychiatric hospitals anymore. I currently work in forensic psychotherapy. So I love that Nicole Psyche's favorite character is a villain because I work with villains. I do therapy with villains and helping them to be heroes. So I think that actually a villain is just a miscast hero. And For those of you who have, spoiler alert, for those of you who haven't seen the anime or read the manga, spoiler alert, Dabi is definitely miscast.
So miscast. So miscast. It's not his fault.
No. And that'll definitely be a theme that we come to quite a lot in this podcast. But why we are doing this podcast, as I mentioned, I had this podcast going a little bit earlier. We had 2 episodes out because myself and Peter, my previous co-host, we both loved it. And we wanted to provide kind of a mix of the psychological and the layperson's experience. And also he's very interested in STEM and engineering. And I thought that was a really good way to kind of combine with the psychological. But now we're just going all psychology here. But actually, you know what? We should give thanks to our own hero support team, our audio editor, Mr. Hero Support Person Kyle Rebar. Thank you, Kyle, for editing this podcast. Without him, we would be floundering because neither of us know how to do audio editing.
We were floundering before we started this podcast.
We were floundering just 5 minutes before recording. So
yes,
technology is really complicated. So thank you, Kyle, for that.
We should also give thanks to our graphic designer as well, correct? For our awesome logo. Her name is Allie, yes.
You can find her on Instagram at Wicked Encounters. She's super awesome. And please, everybody, look her up on the Instagrams at Wicked Encounters. So thank you, Allie, for designing our awesome logo.
And at some point, we will also have a theme song, but I'm still going to give a special shout out anyway to my wonderful husband, Jacob Hassler, who will be putting together a nice little theme song for us as well.
Yes.
Quite the hero support team we have behind us.
Because you know what? Even heroes can't do it all on their own.
100%. So as we move forward with this podcast, to let you guys know what to expect, we're going to be going through the My Hero Academia series, episode by episode, breaking it down, talking about the different mental health themes, psychological themes that we see throughout each episode with our favorite characters, our favorite heroes, our favorite villains, and everything in between. So I believe that starting with the next episode, we're going to start with Season 1, Episode 1, which I believe is called Origin, correct?
Yeah. Origin, Izuku Midoriya Origin, which is like the perfect starting point for a hero origin story. Oh my gosh. And also, we might in the future have some special guests joining us on different podcast episodes. So please stay tuned for that because we have, for those of you who aren't already familiar with our work, both Nicole and I are very involved in a group called the Psych Geeks, which are basically a grouping of therapists and psychologists who are geeky. And we all talk about all things geeky on various different platforms, including at different Comic-Cons. I'm using this opportunity to tell everybody, any of our listeners who are going to be at San Diego Comic-Con, you might just see us there.
Maybe possibly doing a panel all about My Hero Academia.
Fingers crossed. We can't say too much more than that. But
no.
You will see us wandering around dressed as some villains.
Maybe not the villains you'd expect.
No.
But villains.
Not to say that we didn't try that, though.
Didn't try. But we are very friendly people as well. So if you guys do happen to see us while we're out there, please feel free. Come up, say hi. We love to chat with you guys. And we love to chat things all My Hero Academia. Don't be shy.
Absolutely. And if you see us at any other cons, please stop by and say hi as well. We love to meet our fans. We love to talk nerdy things with literally everybody. Like, that's how I would get kidnapped by a stranger who just had comic books. And I was just like, okay, I'm going with you. So, yeah. So that is how All for One would get me.
Not that hard.
Nope. Sorry. Yes, I think we can call it a day for this very first welcoming episode. We look forward to meeting again with our heroes in the future.
Villains.
And villains. And, well, the miscast heroes.
Our miscast heroes, yes.
Our miscast heroes. Our heroes and miscast heroes. But to close us out, where can people find us on the social medias?
Well, you can find us on Instagram and Twitter at My Hero Therapy. Correct?
And on Facebook, yes.
And on Facebook as well at My Hero Therapy. But if you're looking for me specifically, you can find me at nextleveluptherapy.com or on Instagram at levelup_therapist and also on Twitter at levelup_therapy.
And you all can find me through my other podcast called Mental Health Quest, The Therapist's Office and Beyond, on Facebook and Twitter at MHQ Podcast. And if anyone wants to email us to tell us about their favorite heroes or miscast heroes, you can all email us at myherotherapypodcast@gmail.com.
Yes, feel free to send in any questions as well that you feel that you would like us to answer or address on the show, and we'll get to them if we can. We're happy to have all these discussions as we mentioned.
We'd also really like to thank our very own sponsor who is helping us out with this podcast. Just like the students at UA Academy learn how to be the best heroes they can be from All Might, people in California who are seeking mental health services can learn how to be the best heroes they can be by going to All Mind Health, a professional psychological corporation serving residents of the Orange County area in person and all of California via telehealth. It is run by Dr. Isaac Teitz, our very own psychology hero. You can find them on the interwebs at www.allmindhealth.com. That's ALLMINDHEALTH.com. You can also find them on the social media areas, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at All Mind Health. So please check them out, and thank you for sponsoring this podcast.
And we look forward to continuing this podcast and interacting with everybody and talking all things My Hero Academia. For now, remember to go beyond.
Plus Ultra!